Turmoil on Capitol Hill after a 24-hour cycle of the American citizens learning what was in the continuing resolution and the warranted outrage that accompanied it. Speaker, apparently there is not going to be a vote on this continuing resolution. Good morning. I'm Nick Reed, Pyramid Roofing Company. Talk and text line is 447 KSGF. If you'd like to text in any messages, feel free to do so. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll be kicking off the weekend there at Scramblers, doing our live show from 6A to 9A. If you'd like to come out and join us, it'd be great to see you. And have yourself some breakfast while you're there, if you'd like, or maybe just a cup of coffee, whatever you want. You just do whatever makes you happy. No vote on Speaker Johnson's spending bill after Trump and Elon Musk reject it. We talked yesterday about what Trump's play was going to be in this. 24 hours ago, he had not weighed in yet. Was he going to back Johnson, stay out of it, or come out against, maybe not Johnson specifically, but the continuing resolution and full force? The not quite yet Trump administration coming out against the continuing resolution, aside from the fact that it is a form of continued spending without any budget in a fashion that Johnson, like Republican speakers before him, promised would stop. Of course, it was a lie. Just some of what was being funded. Things that are as left-wing, censorship-laden as one could possibly get. Now, fortunately, again, this pushback, evidently J.D. Vance had what was said to be a productive meeting with Speaker Johnson on this. The next, depending on how this plays out, what is going to be one of the potential next big battles is whether Speaker Johnson is going to have the support to be the next speaker. Now, what I think is very telling is it would take a lot of Republicans to not support him, because there are going to be a lot of Democrats that want him to stay in there, because he is the greatest non-Democrat speaker that the Democrats have ever had in Congress, at least in the modern era. They love the guy. He gives them what they want. It's really hard as a citizen. You sit back and you think, is this guy just this incompetent? Or, I don't believe this to be the case, but you can see how some people would think, is he actually just trying to sabotage stuff? Is this guy a left-wing Democrat? Which there isn't any real belief that he is, but why would you do this stuff? Why? Unless you just really ultimately are a true believer in big government and you are a Republican because you're pro-life and a couple of other things. But other than that, government should be massive. Deficits should be massive. Democrats should get whatever they want, because that's how Johnson has been operating. There are already some Republicans saying they will not back him as speaker, and there are some outside of Congress, conservative commentary, Steve Bannon being one of them, saying he's just got to go. I mean, this has got to stop. I think the struggle is going to be for some members of Congress that are Republicans. Is Johnson, with Trump in the White House, is Johnson going to essentially be a conduit for what Trump wants? What Trump wants, Trump gets. And if that is the case, his weakness, if you will, could be beneficial to the country. Because he'll simply do whatever it is that Trump needs to get done in order to advance the Trump agenda, making America great again. And so that level of weakness will be beneficial to the country because Trump can utilize it. And if that is the case, is it really worth a fight trying to, why go through a messy battle of trying to get some new speaker if Mike Johnson is simply going to be a puppet of Trump? Because after all, we want somebody in there that is going to be for the things that Trump has campaigned on trying to implement, and spending is something that during the first term, and of course he had COVID in there, but that's something that Trump has not addressed, and I think it's something that he definitely has to address this time around, and he has to some degree. He's talked about the fact that the economy is going to improve so much, that is going to take care of a lot of it. But all that aside, what the American people have seen over the last 24 hours is a demonstration that the Republican Party has not learned any lessons any more than the Democrat Party apparently has lacked in learning, and that is that the American people are tired of this stuff. I love that you have some of these people in Trump world, like Elon Musk, saying any Republican who supports this, they need to be primaried in 2 years. Yes, this is what needs to happen. This is absolutely what needs to happen. I'd say any Republican who isn't leading the charge to defeat these sorts of continuing resolutions need to be primaried in 2 years. We got a lot to talk about. We of course had Congressman Burleson on Tuesday morning, and he warned us all. He said, "This thing, just wait. This is bad. This is bad. You're going to be hearing over the next 24 hours how bad this is." And as long as there isn't some vote or something that pops up after 8:30, we'll get an update from him on, what happens now, because partial government shutdown is slated to occur Friday without something occurring. And apparently this particular continuing resolution is off the table. So that doesn't leave a heck of a lot of time. Not to mention, Congress is supposed to have 72 hours to read before they post or before they vote, which they haven't always abided by that anyhow. I know we had a call into your congressman, or a message in? Did we ever get any response back?
Nope, I sent 2.
And that what is that district number? I always 5. Is that 5?
No, it's
Alford.
4?
4, whichever one. To the north. That anytime there is something that is this out there, and then you have a difficult time getting people who will be voting on it on air, to me that is always a little like, okay. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 53. Tonight clear with a low around 22. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 35. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 42.
Yeah, Alfred, that is 4th district.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that like I was confused. I live in his district.
Well, sometimes you don't necessarily know the number.
I'm like right on the little cusp there. But yeah, he serves all the way up into the Kansas City area and whatnot.
And so you had sent a message, but did they even respond?
No.
Okay.
I sent it both through his press person and then also through his website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I suspect that the pulling of this continuing resolution is also to help protect a lot of Republicans who are planning on voting for it. I think they did not expect the backlash because they have been accustomed to, This is what I don't like about the establishment, is their attitude is, oh, they'll forget about it and vote for me. They'll vote to reelect me anyway. Nobody's going to primary me. I have the party behind me, and I'm not going to lose in the general election, and so screw them. I can do whatever I want to. They'll be mad for a while, but they'll forget about it. That's the approach they take, and I think it caught them off guard that this time around it was different, and that there was this level of outrage. And then you had Trump weighing in, and Elon Musk weighing in, and Vivek Ramaswamy weighing in, and all being very, this is awful, it's horrible, dumpster fire. I mean, finally you have real, actual, by definition, leadership that is speaking the same message as the Freedom Caucus members and the people like Congressman Burleson, who one of the first ones out of the gate. This is a dumpster fire. This is wrong. This is horrible. This is awful. Being those voices, and it clearly is making a difference. Now how it's going to play out, we have yet to see. But it's just, this is why Trump was elected. This sort of thing right here. We got to get a traffic update more ahead. I'm Nick Reed. Have you ever been in a dispensary?
I have not.
There's one in Republic. I've been in it. They have for dogs.
Did you get me some for Willow?
I have some for Willow. I just need to get I keep forgetting them.
Thank
so
you.
I do have some so she can try them. Lucy, of course, one of our two dogs, she's got skull cancer and it's like going through her skull, and it's just a matter of time, but it's just this huge tumor on the top
Poor
of her head.
baby.
Yeah, I know, the poor sweet thing. She's such a sweet girl. So but it's just she's pain, and got that, and there is pain medication, but I thought, well, I guess it probably can't hurt. So yeah, they're the ones I got. They look like the little pieces of bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Is what they, and I think there was another kind also, but I have to crumble it up and mix it in with what, because even like chewing hurts her head.
Aw, poor
And
girl.
yeah, so
I hate that.
so yeah, but I keep forgetting to bring in some for you to give to Willow.
Yeah, Willow.
Get her stoned.
Yeah, well,
Your
she's
dog's
got-
just a mess. That she just needs it because she's out of control.
She is out of control, but she has arthritis in her back legs, so I feel so bad for her. And pain medicine just hasn't helped her, so hopefully that will.
Speaking of roofs,
Yeah. Speaking of roofs, Okay.
Smooth transition.
Yeah, it was a thank you for that. No, so we've seen a lot of fluctuating temperatures here lately. Like today, it's going to be 53. Tomorrow, it's going to be 35. So oftentimes, those fluctuating temperatures can lead to what is called nail pops, and that allows for your shingle to basically shift up and down. And if you don't have repairs done to your roof, especially if you have an older roof, those nail pops can eventually lead to leaks and rotting deck and just to a whole new roof. So if you do have somewhat of an older roof, you want to go ahead and get a checkup done before that winter weather actually hits. And I want to recommend my friends over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. Now, the Pyramid team, they do free roof inspections, so you're not out anything whenever they come out. And they're pretty upfront and honest about the work that needs to be done. They're not going to try to upsell you. They'll let you know, hey,
You need 2 roofs.
yeah, you're going to need about 6 layers. No, they don't do that. They'll tell you, hey, look, it's time for repairs, or maybe a new roof is in your future. So if it is time to have the Pyramid team out at your home, give Josh a call today. You can find all of that contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Are you drinking hot chocolate over there?
No, it's coffee, but it's the coffee that you got me from The Great Escape.
Oh.
Why does it smell good?
No, when I walk, it smells like Cocoa Puffs in here.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I walked in and I thought it smells like Cocoa Puffs, and then
No.
I got another whiff, and so I wasn't sure
No, it's
if that's some new perfume you're wearing.
But it's good.
Well, good.
I like it. Thank you.
You're welcome. When I had gone in to the store to buy, and there were a number of different coffees and everything, and so I got a few, and I don't know why I thought this was funny, and so I go and I'm paying, and next to the register was a Great Escape mug that someone had left there, and but they all had our names on them. And I just thought it was funny. Here I am like, oh, hey, one of our people were here earlier, and they forgot they left there. But I was able to. It's a great thing. We have to have our names on them from now on because that is so convenient. Particularly, you have 5 or 6 people sitting around. And for people that don't, when I say mugs, it's not a coffee mug, but it's like a drink.
Tumbler.
Yeah, tumbler. There we go. Thank you. And sometimes you don't think about it. If you have 5 or 6 people sitting around and you all have the same tumbler, you can kind of, oh, wait, which one's mine? But this year, everyone's names were on it, and it just made it so you didn't realize how convenient that is. It just kind of seemed neat at first, but then all of a sudden you realize, well, this is real convenient. And there I found one. I was like, oh, I know who this belongs to because his name is on it. So, anyway, that's the story related to purchasing new coffee that is not relevant to anything else in the world. KSGF.com, Christmas in the Ozarks, as we are just days away from Christmas, any area festivities that might still be underway up until Christmas. I imagine most parades are done, but, there's some other things that may be going on, particularly this upcoming weekend, being the last weekend before Christmas. So listings of those, Christmas in the Ozarks, sponsored by Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air. And then tomorrow, this is going to be a big one that goes fast, Local for Less Ozarks, Five Guys. And you can get a $25 gift certificate for $12.50. You can get 2 of them. Of course, I guess if you're husband, wife, you got kid, I guess you could just under different emails, per family. I don't think it matters. Do you have to put your address? Is that how it? I don't know how it checks it.
No, I've never purchased one before.
Nor have I. So anyhow, that will be 10 a.m. tomorrow at ksgf.com. All right, no vote on Speaker Johnson's spending bill after Trump and Elon Musk reject the resolution. Elon Musk, there's a couple of different stories, and this happened very quickly. It was wow. It's just ew. It was a lightning strike that said, I don't think so. This ain't going to happen. And it was a combination of, people on largely like talk radio and social media, and there was just outrage over this. Now, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, the Doge Bros, as it's written in Red State, I like that, the Doge Bros, have had a chance to take a close look at the 1,500-page continuing resolution released Tuesday by Speaker of the House Johnson. They are not one bit impressed. In fact, Musk is so incensed by the cramnibus, so named because Johnson is trying to cram it through before the government runs out of money. On Friday, he's putting all members of Congress on notice that a vote in favor of the bill could cost them their job. saying, well, let's see, Musk who poured more than $250 million into groups supporting Trump 2024, urged his followers to call their reps to tell them to vote no on the continuing resolution. Quote, please call your elected representatives right away and tell them how you feel. They're trying to get this passed today while no one is paying attention. He also called for a moratorium on all legislation until Trump takes office, saying no bills should be passed Congress until January 20th when Donald Trump takes office. One item in the CR definitely catching Musk's attention, the pay increase that would raise the paychecks of members of Congress from $174,000 to $243,000 per year. It's quite a kick up. Members would also get the perk of not having to opt into Obamacare. Now, this is especially egregious. We'll talk about a couple of the things that are in here that are especially egregious. Honestly, of all of the things that are problematic, the pay raise to me is the least one. And that's more of a thumb in the eye to me. And there's a number of reasons that to me it's not as I understand why for a lot of people that is extremely outrageous. It would be nice if that were the most outrageous thing in this. But for me, it's not. Now, Trump had said he's totally opposed to this continuing resolution bill. And, Musk also at one point had tweeted out, let's see here. I don't know the exact verbiage. I don't have it in front of me, but saying that any Republican who supports this should be primaried in 2 years or should be voted out in 2 years or something along those lines. Thomas Massie becoming the first Republican to publicly say he will not throw support behind Mike Johnson for Speaker. So you can see that there is quite a bit of pushback on this. Now, a couple of the things that are in here that are seen as, in and of themselves, deal breakers. This one, to me, is bigger than I think a lot of people that it is for. It's bigger for me than it is probably for a lot of people. A provision that allows lawmakers to opt out of Obamacare and use federal employee health benefit program instead. So this is something that was put into place at one point. And I believe it was done by Republicans. Fine, if we're going to have Obamacare, they get their nice little federal health insurance because, they're the elites. This is the great thing about being big government, sort of socialist-minded. When you're in charge, you get the perks. And there was a change made in which the requirement was, if you're a lawmaker, you have to be an Obamacare too. Now, you would think that should be a no-brainer, right? Laws that apply to you and me should also apply to the people who put them into place. That whole we the people sort of concept. So this Republican continuing resolution is going to allow lawmakers to get out of Obamacare and go back to their Cadillac plans, if you will. While the rest of us, now these are people, this is a political party who have had the opportunity to get us all out of Obamacare. Oh no, see, they don't get us out of it, but they're more than happy to quietly exempt themselves from it. Can you, is this some sort of game that's being played where let's act just like Democrats? I mean, this is the sort of hypocrisy and elitism. And I'm telling you, some of these same Republicans who would support this are the Republicans who rail against Democrats because of the hypocrisy when it came to COVID. They will be front and center in front of a microphone criticizing Nancy Pelosi for saying that you can't go out in public without a mask on to get your hair done while she goes out and gets her hair done. Or Gavin Newsom for saying, closing down restaurants and saying that if you don't wear a mask, you're going to kill grandma. And then he goes to the fancy restaurants without a mask on. I mean, the hypocrisy demonstrated by Democrats when it came to COVID and the separate rules for them versus the rest of us was so profound. And Republicans had, and they should have, but they had no problem whatsoever getting out there and pointing out that hypocrisy. Some of those same Republicans are on board with exempting themselves from Obamacare. And you may think, well, I'm not actually in the Obamacare system because I have my own private health insurance. The problem is your private health insurance has been drastically impacted by Obamacare because and incidentally, we've got I want to share a piece coming up about how just Obamacare is killing people. And it's because of all of the requirements and the fascistic approach of telling private health insurance companies how they have to run. What, you can do this, you can't do that, you have to cover this. They're largely micromanaging and dictating to private health insurance companies what they can and can't do. And by the way, that is fascism. Oh, yes, you can be a private entity, you can be a private business, but we are going to tell you how to run it. That's fascism. The government is going to tell you what you can and cannot do. That is fascism. And the fact that the Republicans in this continuing resolution are going to exempt themselves from the system. Now, the reason to me that this is a bigger deal than it is to a lot of people, because it's a mindset. It isn't so much about government-run healthcare as much as it is the cultural mindset of the people running the Republican Party who think that they shouldn't have to be part of the system that they put upon us. That's what is so problematic about it. We've got to get a break. Got traffic coming up. A couple other things that are in this that I think really help torpedo this. Rightfully so. And again, barring any sort of vote on the floor that pops up, Congressman Burleson will join us after 8:30 to kind of update us on what happens now, because there's a lot of mass confusion and chaos, understandably so, now that this has been derailed as to how to move forward, because government, is set to, quote, shut down on Friday. And while you and I are of the mindset good, because they say it's non-essential anyhow, which, to me, this makes Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy's job real easy. Oh, non-essential, thanks for doing the job for us. Now we know. To the elites in Washington, it's horrific to shut down the government, even partially so. All right, gonna throw it straight to traffic, ran a little bit long, and then continue on. And for all of there's silver lining in this horrific display from the Republican leadership in Congress with this continuing resolution, and we'll talk about that coming up. Plus, I mean, Elon Musk is retweeting Congressman Burleson. I'm telling you, the 7th Congressional District has done itself extremely well, and the country well, in the election of Eric Burleson as congressman, and I just it is paying off big time for the voters. And as Sarah noted, anytime Elon Musk is retweeting you, you know that's something.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 53. Tonight it'll be clear with a low around 22. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 35. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 42.
All right, let's get to some of these text. Oh, okay, now, a number of your text messages. Let's see. I'm sure you realize this, but might be worth pointing out that much of the government shutting down for a couple weeks, it's during the holidays anyway. So, and this is true. Can the Doge Bros get a line item veto using executive action? I know it's unconstitutional, but so is student loan forgiveness. So, yeah. It was my understanding, this from David, that Congress was exempt from Obamacare from the beginning. OC wasn't going to pass on merit. Votes had to be brought, i.e. exemptions. So there was something put in there that required them, and I don't remember. I think it was afterwards. I forget. All I know is that there was a provision in this continuing resolution that was going to allow the lawmakers to start opting out of Obamacare and use the federal employees health benefit program instead. The other big red flag in this is the Global Engagement Center. This is a giant censorship institution, and it was going to get another year of funding. So it's the State Department's form of censorship. And as we all know, it's not big government leftists that get censored. It is the people who are supportive of liberty in a republic that are viewed as potential domestic terrorists that get censored. We're the ones that, spread the disinformation and get people all whipped into a frenzy. And it's just this, to have this Orwellian approach taken by Republicans. Now, I do want to note that I'm just going to throw this out there, even though to me it isn't really relevant in the whole big problem right now on this stuff, and it is the significant raise that was when Congress votes on a raise, it actually doesn't kick in until the next Congress, because Congress can't vote itself a raise. And even though a vast majority of members of Congress are going to be in Congress during the next session, that's considered a new Congress. And so any congressional pay raises, unless that's changed, don't kick in until the following. But it was going to be a significant pay raise, like from I forget the number, but it was, $60,000 or something? Anyway, it was significant. And the last pay raise that they had was 2009, I think. But then there was a, quote, cost of living increase sometime after that. I look at pay raises or members of Congress a little bit different than a lot of other people do, because I look at what does this mean? Like, what is the impact? Play it forward. Play the tape forward. Oftentimes, we hear people, they will say, well, until Congress does this, they shouldn't get paid. I think of the implications of that, and I realize, okay, well, people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and these corrupt elected officials that have turned themselves into millionaires, they don't care. Psh, nothing to them. But your members of Congress that are just average working people that are not amassing wealth. And again, I'll use Congressman Burleson as an example, because he's, one of those just kind of normal middle-class guy, worked a normal job, has a wife that has a normal job, 2 kids. Not getting paid is a real problem. So as unfair as it may be, the less money members of Congress get, the more of a burden it is on the average person who's a member of Congress. And it's meaningless to those that are massively wealthy. And so because of that, I've never been a big proponent of, well, we should withhold their paycheck or do this or that, because the real problematic members of Congress, it doesn't hurt them at all. Now, that aside, I think that the level of outrage here has caught Republican leadership off guard. They are accustomed to this small little segment of the population within the Republican Party that follows all this stuff getting all in a tizzy, getting upset, and their mindset is they'll get over it. They'll forget about it come election time, so screw them. We're going to do whatever we want to do. That's what they've been using. And they've gotten away with it for how many years? Over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter. And, they all say what they need to say to get into the speaker position. Mike Johnson proving to be just as much of a liar as past speakers who have said, oh, yeah, we'll stop this continuing resolution stuff. And, oh, yeah, we'll make sure that all of the bills, go through the thorough and all this. And then they get in there and they don't do it. And then the minute you have a small handful of members of Congress say, okay, you lied, we need to do something about it, they bring the hammer down on them. They demonize them. They give them the Matt Gaetz treatment. I mean, let's be honest, the reason that Matt Gaetz is facing everything that he's facing is because under McCarthy, that just they hated him. And it was because Matt Gaetz was trying to hold McCarthy accountable for the lies. I think Speaker Johnson is without any sort of moral compass in the capacity of speaker. Sometimes I wonder why some of these people want to get into these positions, because it's clear they do not have any actual leadership abilities. I think Speaker Johnson goes with the wind. And the strongest wind in the Republican caucus is the establishment. Those who like the continuing resolutions, those who like the big, massive spending, those who like the fiscal irresponsibility. And because they are the strongest wind, that is the way as Speaker he's been going. Now, the conflict is that there's a stronger wind in town, and that's Donald Trump. And this is why we are where we are now. Speaker Johnson was accustomed to the big winds of big government behind him, and so he's just going the direction that the winds blow him. But along with Trump, you got Vivek, you got Elon Musk. These are individuals that people listen to, that average Americans trust, and they're blowing back. And all of a sudden, within 24 hours, we go from standard practice under Speaker Johnson to, wait a minute here, there's a stronger wind blowing. This has to be, and I hope we get a chance to talk with Congressman Burleson this morning, this has to be such a sign of hope, because he and a number of the other minority Republicans within the party have been so frustrated and so betrayed and just as angry as you and me at constantly being lied to, at the problem in Washington being Republicans right now. And then to have, I'm going to equate it, I've done this before, you're the audio-video club, you're the skinny kid in school, you are not as developed yet, and you're getting picked on and pushed around every time you go down senior hall. The football players, they pick you up, put you in a trash can, and you just hate it, but you're the weak guy. You don't have the strength. And then all of a sudden there's a new kid in town who is bigger and he's unafraid and he's standing up for you. And the first time he sees you get dunked in a trash can, he pushes that quarterback of the football team against the wall and scares the daylights out of him, because he realized there's somebody here that's going to stick up for these guys. And that relief that you get, oh my gosh, here's somebody that's on my side that has the ability to fight back and win. And I wonder if some of these Freedom Caucus members are seeing glimpses of that, oh my gosh, okay. Now, it doesn't mean that everything's going to go perfectly smoothly and exactly the way that they want, but just the fact that at this moment there appears to be the new guy in town, Donald Trump, or the guy who's back in town, along with, it's like Trump came back, he's like, by the way, I brought a couple friends with me, meet Elon and Vivek. It's like, man, we thought he was awesome before. Now there's like this trifecta. It's like a Voltron. He just needs a few more, and he's got a complete Trump Voltron. All right, now this is also what I love to watch some of this play out, and I think it happens, and because of the back and forth, and we're used to the bickering and fighting, that we think, oh, it's more of the same, but it's not always more of the same. Once it was announced that this continuing resolution was not going to move forward as Speaker Johnson had planned, well, Democrats are very upset. Now, that should tell you something right there. Election denier Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat leader in the House, spoke about the failed deal, accusing Republicans and their leaders of not reaching the agreement, saying House Republicans, House Democrats, Senate Republicans, Senate Democrats reached a bipartisan agreement to fund the government, keep it open, and meet the needs of the American people. House Republicans have now unilaterally decided to break a bipartisan agreement they made. House Republicans have been ordered to shut down the government and hurt everyday Americans all across this country. An agreement is an agreement. It was bipartisan, and there's nothing more to say. He also fired off a post on X saying House Republicans have been ordered to shut down the government and hurt the working class Americans that they are supposed to support. You break that agreement, you own the consequences that follow. Now, what usually is the response from Republican, quote, leadership? To get scared and to buckle. Because Republicans are generally, I'm talking about the party, are afraid of their own shadows. And the minute that Democrats they point the finger, oh, they're going to shut down the government, Republicans scramble. We got to do something, we got to do something, we got to do something. What does Trump do? What does Elon Musk do? What does Vivek do? Tell him, shut up. Elon Musk fired back at Jeffries on X saying, quote, you seem to think the public's dumb. They're not. He also wrote in a separate post, the voice of the people was heard. This was a good day for America. Trump adamantly opposed the bill on Wednesday through a series of posts on Truth Social, saying sounds like the ridiculous and extraordinarily expensive continuing resolution plus is dying fast, but can anyone imagine passing it without either terminating or extending the debt ceiling guillotine coming up in June? Unless the Democrats terminate or substantially extend the debt ceiling now, I will fight till the end. This is a nasty trap set in place by the radical left Democrats. He continued, saying Democrats are looking to embarrass Republicans when it comes up for a vote in June, and people who extend it from September to June, quote, should be ashamed of themselves. Trump called the extension political malpractice, saying hopefully you'll be entitled to such an increase in the near future when we make America great again. So point being here is the change in dynamics. And Democrats have been accustomed to playing the Republicans broke a bipartisan agreement, and they're going to destroy lives. The American people are going to be screwed over, and government's going to shut down. And they do that because Republicans always respond by, okay, what do you want us to do? This time, it's different. Because Trump's punching back, and he's punching back harder. Hence, one of the many reasons that so many Americans voted for Donald Trump to be president again. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. And I don't think that there is a national radio show or news program that hasn't either referenced or had Congressman Burleson on with this. And you realize something, that sometimes what makes an effective leader is a person who just is willing to stand up for what is right and their convictions. It's this odd contradiction because on one hand, we as human beings oftentimes find that so difficult, but the formula itself is very simple. That when you just stand up for what is right, and you are honest and you follow through with what you say you're going to do, people get behind you. And you think, wow, why is Congressman Burleson getting all this attention? It's simply because he's speaking the truth, and he is staying honest with what he has said he would do when he got up there. And that has become, sadly, a rarity in Washington, D.C. Christy Fulnecki is going to be coming up next. We have news in 60 seconds. I'm Nick Reed. Wilder RV end of year deals. Still got a couple weeks left as we round out December eventually. This is the 19th. All right. So we got a couple weeks left. And if you already have an RV, you got to make sure you got it winterized, got it prepped so that it is ready to go in storage. So springtime comes around, you don't have to get in line, worry about it then. And maybe you are looking about, getting brand new into it. Feel renewed. Things are turning around, feeling upbeat, feeling positive because of hopefully the direction things are going to go, barring, people like Mike Johnson getting in the way. But, you start to feel a little better about life and you want to get out there. And if you don't have an RV, you are missing out on the ability to experience a lot of life that way. And Wilder RV, they can set you up with that. People come from all over the country to Clinton, Missouri because of the reputation and their past experience with Wilder RV. WilderRV.com. They have very transparent pricing, and what they don't do is get you there and then add things on once you're sitting down. Well, we got to add this fee, and well, there's a delivery fee, or you're going to pick it up. Well, there's a pickup fee. None of that stuff. Straightforward. WilderRV.com. You can find them at KSGF.com under Nick's endorsements as well. And look, everyone, it's Christy Fulnecki.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing awesome. All my kids are home.
Oh,
Yes.
full house
From
then
the
it
four
is.
corners of the world.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yes, I drove. I flew and drove back from Louisiana, and then the Oklahoma she came, and then drove to St. Louis and back to get my Naval Academy daughter. So they're all here. And so I got to talk to her the whole time. I wanted to know all the details about the Army-Navy game. Yes, which was very frustrating because, we had people at our house. And
Yes.
I, for an hour, was watching prior to the game for the cadets and midshipmen, Army and Navy, to march out on the field. Well, I mean, they practice it for like a whole day, so it's a big thing. And they had all this pageantry and all this stuff before the game. And, of course, CBS shows like about 30 seconds. Oh, there's the Army on the field. Yeah. Here's 30 seconds. Here's the Navy on the field. And then they don't even say anything about Trump. There was like one flash of Trump's face, and that was all. And that was literally like 3 seconds. And but it's pretty cool. She was saying that when I don't remember if they announced it or whether they just showed him, on the Jumbotron or whatever it's called.
Jumbotron.
And she said that the whole entire stadium was going crazy, like clapping and cheering for him. I mean, she said it was a really great experience.
I was going to ask you a question, but I forgot.
That's okay.
Oh, did Eric, your husband Eric, did he smoke anything for the game? For the game, meats. I know a lot of times when you have gatherings, he'll smoke like a brisket
No, my mother-in-law brought Italian food. So
okay.
Yeah, normally he does, but there's a lot going on in our house right now. So
well, I didn't know if that was an escape for him. See, if I had a house filled with, yes, I'd be like, I'll be doing an 18-hour brisket, everyone. I will see you in a day and a half.
We have 5 girls and 1 son. So and especially when all their friends come and then everyone's there, it's very overwhelming. So a lot of times he'll be outside and then my son will be outside too.
Well, that's what I mean. I'd be smoking meats. Drinking beer.
Well, and he got this, not that this is relevant to anything we're going to talk about today, but he got him one of those pizza ovens for his birthday. Like the big.
Where do you have it? Is it in the kitchen or?
Well, I rolled it out. Oh yeah, it's on a stand thing. It's so. I know you're a big pizza person, but we roll it in and out of the garage. But it is awesome. It's so fun.
Fun.
Well,
we're having a good time making pizza, doing the Trump dance.
That's right. Well, my son had his friends over, and so I mean. There were like 9 of them, and so he sat there for like 2.5 hours making pizza.
Now, has he smoked a pizza on the Traeger?
Oh no!
See, I've done that.
So. Oh, really?
Yeah. I made a brisket pizza.
Ooh,
it's really good. Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone in the family really likes it. But I have a real difficult time, or I have a couple of times, getting the dough off the whatever the slider thing that the pizza goes on.
Yeah.
And so Morgan got me this little device that's supposed to make it easier, but I haven't used it.
You gotta get a pizza oven. The
I don't have
crust
a
is
place
amazing.
I don't have a place to keep it, but they're really good. But you know what else you can do? This would be something. It's a lot easier. I haven't done it yet, but we had lunch bunch at Retro Metro with a guy who was talking about how he would smoke pizzas, and so I was like, oh, that's awesome to know, because I was talking about how I started doing it, some of the troubles I was having, and so after a little, like 4 minutes of talking to him about my experience and the problems, and I asked him, well, how do you do this? And he finally says, actually, I just get the take and bakes from Papa Murphy's. And put them on there. And I was like, that's actually a really great idea. He goes, yeah, it's really good. And I haven't done it yet, but yeah, that's an easy way to do several. Yeah. And he's got a good size tray. I think it's the same size as mine. So you could do, yes.
But in the pizza oven, the crust is amazing. I got to tell the story real fast.
Okay.
So when I was driving back from St. Louis, I was listening to Handy on the radio, and he said, well, there's this congressman from Iowa.
Oh, boy.
And started talking about Burleson.
I know. Everyone, we were like, he's not from Iowa. He's not from Iowa. Somebody needs to tell me he's not from Iowa.
So I texted Burleson. I said, he just said you're from Iowa. But that's great. I'm so excited to hear his name in national news. It's so great.
I mentioned this earlier, just trying to think of the best way to describe this. Congressman Burleson, in my assessment, he's one of those, sometimes people who have strong convictions are not the best at taming their delivery. Okay. Mm-hmm. So
yes, I might know a few things about that.
Well, you look at, I would say somebody like, just using it, like a Matt Gaetz or a Marjorie Taylor Greene or some of those individuals, they are unbridled. Okay. And a lot of people really like them for that. The downside of it is you oftentimes lose the ability to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you find people, and I think Reagan was this way, that have those strong convictions, but they also have the ability to present their message in a way that makes it more difficult to dismiss them as, oh, they're just some crazy person. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense. Uh-huh. It's not a common combination, which is why I think when it comes along organically, without trying to rise up in leadership, it just naturally happens. And I think Congressman Burleson is one of those individuals. This is why he's not out there seeking it. He's not somebody that goes and, oh, I'm going to say something in order to try to get headlines. Like he's getting all this attention because he said this is a dumpster fire. He was stopped by C-SPAN in the hall. He's walking through the halls in Congress, and he's like, this is a dumpster fire. This is horrible. And he's always been real straightforward in his assessment of these things. And I think that because of that, unless he just doesn't want to, organically, he's going to be very influential.
Yeah, and that's what
he clearly already is.
Yeah,
to some degree. This early, you think about how early he is in his career as a member of Congress.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just one term. This will be the second. I mean, he's just that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, it goes to show you how little that members of Congress, but you can apply it to any industry, how people do not stand up and tell you what they think, and they're afraid of what other people think. And so, I mean, why do the Marjorie Taylor Greenes make news all the time? Is because they are always telling you what they think. And but
and they're sometimes, again, and this is part of my point, they're bombastic at the same time.
Yep.
Their presentation grabs attention, and that's where I think you get those rare instances of organic leadership, somebody like Congressman Burleson, where the messaging is what's grabbing the attention, the truth part. They don't have that bombastic personality trait that can make it easy to demonize them, or easier to demonize them, even unfairly so.
Yeah, why did Trump rise to popularity? It's because he would say what he thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too bad. It applies in court. It applies everywhere. I mean, there's just so few people that have the courage to stand up and give their opinion, because you're rocking the boat, or, this community group thing that goes on, especially in local politics that if you speak out. But
all right, well, let's get some news, and then we'll have some traffic and weather. Christy Vilneggi
some more pizza talk.
Some more pizza talk on Springfield's Talk 104.1.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 53. Tonight clear with a low around 22. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 35. And on Saturday, sunny skies with a high near 42.
All right, coming up. So I think it's over the last several months, it's either just been released or grabbed attention. There's the Trump watches. Yeah, did you not know about? Okay, you're there.
Yeah,
Trump cologne and perfume.
Yes.
So there's
with the good advertising.
So there's been an announcement about a new Trump launch, and I think it's not until June, but you can already pre-order it. So I'll tell you what that is. A bit of a little tease. Coming up Saturday, 10 a.m., it's going to be a special A1 Custom Car Care show, along with All Outlaw, Kyle Wyatt, right? And you, of course.
Theme.
Oh, be nice, fun. I was driving along. It was somewhere in Springfield the other day, and there was somebody in a car that was just covered in Christmas lights. And it was very neatly done. It was very neatly done. These neat little rows.
Do that?
I don't know, but it was during the day, so they weren't turned on. I didn't get to see all the majestic.
I've seen a couple of cars like that. I was wondering how that works.
All right. Trump, of course, Trump is known for, I wonder if there's a categorized list of every product that Trump has ever, because he had suits for a while. This was a long time ago. I remember when he first got elected, somebody, it may have been Chris Stark, I could be wrong about that, but somebody telling me that they had once owned a Trump suit. And he was like,
really?
yeah,
I don't remember that.
And I think that he had donated. It was before, obviously Trump was even talking about becoming president. And so he didn't hold on to it, whomever was telling me about it. But yeah, he had, of course, ties. He had ties.
Oh, yeah, I remember the ties.
And now watches. I know one day, it was the day after Thanksgiving. I was driving around, and I heard almost every hour on, or maybe it was Thanksgiving or the day after, one of the two. I was listening to the station, and like every break, it was Trump talking about Trump watches. And then
he's so genius at marketing.
And then it's just hilarious. But he is one of the few who can sell things just because his name is on it.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I know you're going to talk about this, but when you make a donation, I just made a donation the other day. I don't even know what it was for, but maybe it was to win inauguration tickets with for his ball or something. So you make a donation, and then the next screen comes up, and you can get the black hat that Elon wears, the "Make America Great." Then it comes up, and it sells something, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like 3 clicks in, and I'm buying all this stuff, but I'm actually donating to Trump. But they send it to you because I have all this stuff from donating.
Is it for inaugural, like one of the inauguration, or a ball, or like a celebration?
It was the inauguration of one of the balls, but you could
You'd rather go to the ball than the actual inauguration. I've never been to anything like that.
Yeah, so you can donate on WinRed on your phone. This is
the thing about Trump, and I really realized this recently. For whatever reason, as much as I love history and all things political, I've never thought it would be really neat to go to this event, like an inaugural ball, or I just always thought, But for whatever reason with Trump, I would be like, oh, I would do that. I think that would be really cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's just something, there's something about him. So anyway, the next venture, I don't know why I think this is so funny. Trump is releasing a mobile golf game.
Whoa, I did not see that
where
coming.
Where you are him playing golf, and he does commentary for it. He does the voiceover commentary for it.
So awesome.
It comes out in June. Now, the graphics, we'll get up so the site where you can learn more information, it's trumpgolf.game.
Okay.
And there's some, video play of it. Now, it's for a mobile device, so obviously the graphics aren't going to be incredible. And it's got a cartoonish look to it. But you can see some of the gameplay, and you're him. And,
that's hilarious.
And then he'll be like, good shot, or, he does some of the voiceover. Now, I don't know how much voice work there's going to be. There's like 20 seconds of gameplay you can watch. But what I think it's funny is that there's like these different levels. When you look on the site, there's Trump National Golf Club, Hudson Valley. They're on his courses, I guess. Then there's locked version. So then there's intermediate, there's advanced, and then there's Trump. So like... Which I think is hilarious because it's like, well, there's the most advanced. Well, beyond that is Trump.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, I just...
If you could sign up for it.
You can pre-order.
You can.
Yeah, you can pre-order now.
Okay.
I wonder if I can, let's see what sort of audio is.
Pay us for advertising.
Yeah, that's what he needs.
Yeah, I know, that's right.
He needs us. I was going to see if I could play some of the... sign in. I'm not going to sign in to confirm I'm not a robot. You are a robot. You're a computer. You're a computer wanting me to prove that I'm not a computer. Screw you.
Smarter than you.
No use for that crap.
While you're looking for this, have you seen all the AI generated? I think I've sent it to our group chat with Trump and all the world leaders, and they're like doing different activities. That AI, have you seen it? It's hilarious. But it has like, all the different leaders, and it has Putin and him riding there. I think they're like big bears, and they're riding on them next to each other. It's hilarious. But you definitely, that's on social media.
Well, the Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line. Do you get bonus points if you avoid getting shot on the golf course? Yeah, I wonder if that's a bonus level. Secret Service scrambling to... exchanging gunfire with some left-wing lunatic.
Oh, that's great. And then they need to put in the YMCA music. And then you can do the Trump dance.
Yeah, if he gets a hole in one. Do the
I put the audio in your show folder.
Oh, okay. Well, there's not a lot to it, but
like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'll take a break real quick here, and then I'll pull up that audio and play it here in just a moment with Christy Fulnecki. I'm Nick Reed. Okay, Donald Trump releasing a mobile golf game with personal commentary. There's a short little teaser video, because it's something you can pre-order. It is not set to be available until June. Here, it doesn't, I mean, really give you a lot, but just to give you a sense of some of the audio of the gameplay.
Look at that beautiful swing. Isn't it perfect? Well, now you too can play as me at trumpgolf.game now. The greatest golf game ever created.
I guess that's the promo for it. There's also
Look at that beautiful swing.
Look at that beautiful. There's also and I found it. I don't even know where I found it, but there is some gameplay where he, talks. Oh, it's on the green, or nice shot, and so he does just little commentary through it, but it's him.
Yeah, this is so cool. And actually, it's his different golf courses.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. And maybe you saw that.
And I saw, let's see, is it in here? Okay.
It has a gold golf club with Trump on it.
Well, okay, so users will hear encouragement in Trump's voice, such as tremendous clubhead speed and amusing phrases, including "still not tired of winning."
How positive would that be?
Just want to know was this his idea? Was it someone else's idea? I'm telling you, I just love the stuff around Trump.
Yeah. Well, the trash truck, and that was somebody else's idea. He said he didn't know about that. So maybe it's somebody else coming
with
up
the game. Buyers will have several options. The base version of the mobile game will cost $9.99, but a deluxe option will include a Trump signature driver for $99. The club, the developers say, will become an instant collector's item. Also, as users play, they will accumulate points to unlock options for the game and the invitation to purchase exclusive merchandise.
Wow.
It says it is not explained how they might do this, but there's also an option to have Donald Trump himself perform one of your game shots. Well, the gameplay shows him like that.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Anyway, it's to be released in June.
Well, and that'd be so cool, playing something that's positive. Like you're not like killing people.
Yeah,
it's so cool. It says fight, 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 and he's walking around. Now, if you put this on, now I know a lot about this because I have teenagers, like Oculus or one of the PS5.
Yeah, you guys have the Oculus.
Yeah, and that would be really cool to do that.
That would be an awesome version to have.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm wondering, why they came out with the mobile. But I mean, they do have a few things going on right now.
Because that's what most people have.
Well, that's true.
And you don't, but I'm sure that there's that's got to be a lot easier to develop than like a PS5 or an Xbox game.
Yeah. But that would be cool.
And VR, you don't see the character because you are the character. And part of this is that you see Trump. He's doing it.
Yeah.
Also. Now, if they did a VR version where you play with Trump, that would be cool.
That would be really cool. Riding in the golf cart with him.
Yeah, riding around. You get to pick the tunes and everything, and
pick the tunes.
And then, you can pass by Kamala on the course and chase her down. She's cackling.
Run her over. Oh yeah, I mean that would be. You could do a lot with that.
Let's get a traffic update. Okay. Continue on. I don't know why. There's a headline I wanted to share regarding a House report, and it's January 6th, and it made me laugh out loud, the headline of the whole thing. It's just the absurdity of things that still with January 6th that go on.
Believe me, I know.
Yes, I suppose you do.
Thank you.
Springfield's Talk 104.1, the First Alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 53. Tonight clear with a low around 22. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 35. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 42.
Christy Fonecki is with us. Someone had texted in as we were talking about the coming in June, the mobile golf game.
Yes.
Trump mobile golf game. They said he also sells guitars. And so I looked up and yes.
Are you serious? He sells.
Introducing the limited edition American Eagle Guitar Series, the only guitar officially endorsed by President Donald Trump. Trump Guitar. So it's gettrumpguitars.com. And the guitars, they've got like the eagle and the flag on them. And
wow, that's awesome.
Let's see, an autographed one is $10,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
But all of this stuff is going to be a collector's item for people when he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's hilarious.
I'm just thinking, like, he has so much energy, and so he's like the busiest person in the world. I can't remember. It was somebody that I wish I could remember who it was, that was recently appointed that was close to him, and they were on it was Hannity or something, and they said, you wouldn't believe how much energy he has. He goes
yeah.
I mean, he flies all these places, and then he barely sleeps, and then he just has so much energy. Oh, they were talking because he was at the Army Navy game, and then he would go, he was in New York, and he went all over the place, and they couldn't believe how much energy he has, and he's so upbeat. I think it's awesome.
It is.
Yes.
All right, here's the headline. This headline, I laughed when I read it just because it's so absurd, the whole thing. House report finds no evidence Trump supported calls for Pence to be hung.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't even know that was a legitimate conspiracy theory going on.
Yeah, I didn't either.
That Trump was calling for Mike Pence to be.
Now, where did that appear?
This is a Breitbart story. The Committee on House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight released a report finding there was no evidence that President-elect Donald Trump supported rioters on January 6 who had called for former Vice President Mike Pence to be hung. In an interim report released Tuesday, the committee released its findings on the events surrounding the January 6 riot. Among the list of findings included in the report were ones that found Trump did not attack a Secret Service detail at any point during the day. There was no pre-planned off-the-record move to the Capitol in the days leading up to January 6th, and there's no evidence that Trump, quote, agreed with rioters calling for Pence to be hanged.
Okay, what? I didn't even know that was an issue.
I didn't either, evidently.
I mean, we've watched thousands of hours of January 6th, and I did not see Trump in one video. He was not hanging out of the Capitol.
Well, so this evidently came from the testimony from that Cassidy Hutchinson. She's the one who made up that story, claiming that he tried to choke out the limo driver so he could drive the limo to the Capitol and join the rioters.
Jeez.
But people on the left believed it. I mean, can you that is like a scene from a Naked Gun movie. Like the president of the United States trying to choke out the limo driver. I mean, it's just insane the things that Democrats will believe. Well, this evidently came from what sounds like ever-changing testimony being coached by Liz Cheney of this Cassidy Hutchinson, so I'll read to you some of the story here. So the Select Committee, so the report found that the January 6th Select Committee, that was the Liz Cheney, had relied, quote, on nothing other than testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson, former aide for Mark Meadows. The Select Committee, relying on nothing other than Hutchinson's testimony, incorrectly asserted in its report that Trump agreed with the rioters, chanting that Vice President Pence deserved to be hanged. The report added that in previous interviews with the Select Committee, Hutchinson had failed to mention those allegations. Cassidy Hutchinson presented an evolving account of that claim. Initially, she failed to mention the allegation. The report notes that Hutchinson's, quote, first narrative of the chanting incident lacks internal cohesion. Initially, she reportedly claimed that she personally saw and heard Meadows and Trump speaking about the rioters chanting about hanging. Pence and how they personally felt about it at the time, according to the report. Later on in the same interview, Hutchinson reportedly claimed that she had no firsthand knowledge of Trump's feelings regarding the rioters' chants, and she had neither seen nor even heard him talk about it with Meadows, according to the report. The report adds that the most specific claim Hutchinson made during the interview regarding the alleged conversation between Trump and Meadows is that it reportedly came from her third-hand eavesdropping of a conversation between Meadows and two separate attorneys who were serving as White House counsel and senior advisors to Trump, according to the report. The most specific claim Hutchinson made in that same interview about the conversation between Trump and okay, so that's reiterating that. And so, let's see. Hutchinson attributes her claim that Trump agreed with the rioters' chant to a recollection of this conversation. In her words, quote, Mr. Trump had hypothetically, potentially said that maybe, perhaps, the chants were justified. So, anyway, what they found here is that even like as she was being,
hypothetically, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah. So she went from, oh yeah, I heard Trump and Meadows talking about this, to, well, no, I didn't hear them directly, to, well, I heard somebody
she
told
should
me
go to
they
jail.
heard that. It's just insane. And of course, the stuff about Cheney, and they've discovered that she was going around Hutchinson's attorney and like directly communicating with her about testimony, and this is why there's been a criminal referral because of
witness tampering.
Tampering. Of course, she thinks she's above the law and should not face any sort of legal consequences for laws she's broken. Somebody wanted me to ask you, and it's in this context.
Oh, okay.
About J6 status and the possibility of a Cheney investigation. Cases are still being announced of local J6 prisoners. So.
Oh, yeah. And, as I had just as recently as a few weeks ago, they're still arresting people for January 6th. Does anybody know that? That people are still being arrested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And there's still, the flurry of my listserv of the attorneys of all of us that represent January 6th clients, everybody is just freaking out, and it's so hard to keep up because people are filing continuances and these judges are not granting them. I don't understand. Like, literally, Trump said that he's going to pardon almost all of them on the first day on inauguration, and they're not granting the continuances. And I told you a couple, I don't know, I didn't look to see what the verdict was, but the one lady, I think it's either last week or this week, that had her trial, that the judge would not continue the trial. And the only thing that she did was walk through the Capitol and then thank the police for their service. And that's all that she did. And they said, and all it was her words. And so that was, fighting words. I don't even know. Thank you for your service. And they would not continue her trial. So it is the biggest mess. And the thing that really scares me about this whole thing is the precedent in the court system. So you think, okay, you're going to have pardon, but if you can do this, right, and then, U.S. attorneys can bring charges like this, and that filters down to other prosecutors. You will have all kinds of political cases, and so the pardon will solve it. But what kind of precedent does it leave for us that are trying to defend people in these political cases?
Well, yeah, and the reality is the left, and I'm talking Democrats in Washington, see, they know, despite what they claim, the reason that they do this is because they know that it won't ever come back to get them, that Republicans won't do this to them. Republicans aren't going to start rounding up. They're not going to, try to imprison political opposition. They're not going to try to do all this
because they're not corrupt for the most part. Yeah.
And, of course, what is crazy about it is they convince their supporters of the opposite. They run around claiming Trump's going to start rounding up political opposition and use the military against them. All of this insane stuff.
It makes me so mad when they say that.
But the fact that they weaponize the courts proves that they aren't worried about it happening to them, because otherwise they wouldn't set these precedents. So their actions show they know that they're the only ones who, or at least, unless something massive changes and Republicans are like, you know what, don't hate the player, hate the game, we'll start doing the same thing to you. But they're banking on the fact that Republicans won't do that.
Yeah, and that frustrates me so much when I hear that, because they're just accusing us of what they're doing. This total projection. But like there was with one of my clients, one of the judges, McFadden, had said, to my client, "You're a menace to society." But I mean, he was pushed by Antifa. He was yelling. He's kind of an obnoxious guy. But I mean, he spent, 3.5 years just in the DC jail and went through horrible conditions and had celiac. And I mean, it was really terrible. So, I mean, he has a right to be mad, but, you look at this and then you have Trump appointed judges that were, punishing people. He ended up getting like 12 years or, yeah, I think it was 12 years. So, I mean, it's just a travesty, the whole entire thing. And it's just, it makes it hard for us because I think, the pardon will go probably to everybody that was just, walking through. It'll be interesting to see those that were charged, which a lot of people were charged with assault or assaulting a police officer. And, like in the case of one of my clients, the person he supposedly assaulted, they showed the video, didn't even get hurt on the screen. They weren't even in the video that the FBI showed. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know how they're going to unravel that, but everybody for lasting as long as it has, everybody has time served. And so that's why I kept saying in the listserv, it should just be a blanket pardon. There's none of them that I saw that was anything worse than what the illegal aliens do and get, 24 hours community service
and free hotel stay. And
yeah. So I don't know. We'll see, but hopefully justice is coming. It's just, not everything will be cured. Department of Justice has got to be cleaned out. That it's just a mess.
It's got to be huge.
And
huge cleansing.
just trying to practice in the atmosphere where you have that. And we have our own, I really hope. I saw one of the governors, I can't remember who it was saying they want to do the same thing on the state level. We really need the kind of reform at the state level as well. And like I said last week, I think you should be able to sue judges and prosecutors and guardian ad litems, and I'm not very popular for saying that, but that might help get, rid of some of the corruption as well.
Christy Filnecki with us,
yes.
Streaming live, KSGF.com. More coming up in just a couple of moments. I'm Nick Reed. All right, I want to share this, and I bring it up every so often because to me it is one of the funniest things that Democrats ever believed about Trump. We were laughing earlier, the belief that some Democrats had that Trump tried to choke out the limo driver on January 6th so he could commandeer the limo and drive to the Capitol and hang Mike Pence. So, and I know Sarah will remember this, but there was some book that was set to be released early in Trump's presidency, Michael Wolff's book, Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House. And somebody, just as a joke, I guess, to get lefties on a frenzy, posted when they're like, wow, this is an excerpt from the book. This is crazy. Now, I'll read it to you, but you got to keep in mind what's hilarious about it is that Democrats, but actual news outlets reported on this as if it were real.
True, yeah.
So the lead into the post that the person made saying, wow, this extract from Wolff's book is a shocking insight into Trump's mind, and then posted what he was claiming was an excerpt from the book. And it reads, on his first night in the White House, President Trump complained that his TV in his bedroom was broken because it didn't have the Gorilla Channel.
Yes, I remember this.
Trump seemed to be under the impression that a TV channel existed that screened nothing but gorilla-based content 24 hours a day. To appease Trump, White House staff compiled a number of gorilla documentaries into a makeshift gorilla channel broadcast into Trump's bedroom from a hastily constructed transmission tower on the South Lawn. However, Trump was unhappy with the channel they had created, moaning that it was, quote, boring because the gorillas aren't fighting. Staff edited out all of the parts of the documentary where gorillas weren't hitting each other, and at last the president was satisfied. Quote, on some days, he'll watch the Gorilla Channel for 17 hours straight, an insider told me. He kneels in front of the TV with his face about 4 inches from the screen and says encouraging things to the gorilla like, the way you hit that other gorilla was great. I think he thinks the gorillas can hear him. So somebody posted that, and they're like, this is an excerpt from the book. And there were media outlets that reported on it like this was true. And I'm telling you, I remember when it was all over social media, Democrats were sharing this and retweeting it and everything because they will believe anything.
I wonder, did Trump ever comment on that? Or
I don't know.
Was it just so stupid? He's like,
I
whatever.
don't know, but I remember that first time we read that and just laughed until I almost cried. What made it funnier is knowing that Democrats actually believe
true.
it. Yeah, I thought it was true. Well, it's like the AOK thing. You know, that
right,
all started out to prove that left-wingers will believe anything no matter how ridiculous. And so on Reddit posted that, and I guess he dressed it up to make it sound like it had some sort of historical legitimacy to it, that the AOK symbol, you do with your hand, that was actually a secret white supremacy signal. Like that's what white supremacists, they gave up the hoods and shaving their heads, and they're like, you know what, let's do instead, okay, and flip up the 3 fingers and make the O with your thumb and pointing finger. And even when he revealed that he just did it in order to prove that people will believe anything, there were still people that got fired from their jobs for doing it. I mean, I remember, I think it was an Army-Navy game. There was an uproar because, there was like a still shot of somebody in the crowd doing or whatever, and there was outrage over it. And like, this was a made-up thing. I mean, it is how delusional and detached some of these people on the left are.
Yeah. And we defeated all that mental illness. So it's a great day in America.
Although, and we've been talking about this, increasingly Democrat activists are posting on social media that Trump isn't going to be sworn in, that he's going to be arrested, or there's going to be a recount. Kamala's going to win.
That's tomorrow, right?
The one guy, so there's one social, I guess I don't know if he's an influencer or not, but he's a retired from the Air Force. He's a left-winger, and he said that his sources are telling him, because of some executive order, he's going to be arrested tomorrow because he claims there was outside interference. The election was rigged, and Trump knew about it, so he's going to be arrested for that. But if that doesn't happen, he said that they need 11 million Democrats to go to Washington to prevent him from being sworn in as president. So it sounds like an insurrection, but it's not, because it's Democrats, of course. That's just that's
right.
just part of the American way. That's
we're just protesting. That's protesting, and so no one will be arrested for 3 or 4 years.
Of course not.
And prosecuted.
No.
Their lives ruined.
That's part of what makes America
ruined,
great.
And that's not going to happen to them.
Part of what makes America great.
Yeah, that's right. But we did defeat him. That's not going to happen. And hopefully Trump is in a bubble. During the Army-Navy game, he stayed in the suite. So I'm hoping that he just stays out of sight until the inauguration.
Well, they just got to find a secure location and put some monkeys fighting each other on the TV, and he'll be occupied. Christy Fieldecky, thank you much. Have a
Merry
great
Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas
Yes.
to you as well. Springfield Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Author of the Week coming up in the next hour, sponsored by the incredible people at ABC Books on North Glenstone News in 60 seconds. President Trump has weighed in on the early, very, very beginnings of, from some quarters, calls for Speaker Mike Johnson to be replaced because of the horrifically disastrous continuing resolution that he had put forth but has pulled back. I'll give you an update on that. We have Author of the Week coming up, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. We may have Congressman Burleson after 8:30. So that just depends on a number of different things, factors. He's very busy. There's a lot going on right now. But if he is available, then we're going to talk with him. Of course, we talked with him Tuesday, and he said at that point, you just wait. This continuing resolution is going to come out because he saw it, and it hadn't gotten out in the public yet. But he said it is bad. And, of course, he was right. And it's for that reason, and the public outcry over it, the pushback because of what is in it, that Johnson has had to, I guess, pull it, essentially. What that means, what the next move is going to be, maybe Congressman Burleson will have some insight on that. But I think a large part of the problem now is they just did not expect that to occur. And so there may not be a real plan put in place. So that insight hopefully will come later on in the hour. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. You have any sort of real estate needs, whether it's home buying, home selling for yourself, your family, a rental investment, whatever it may be, or you're thinking about selling, but you have some preliminary questions. You know, how much is my house worth? Should I get a new roof before I put it on the market? I mean, the roof's in good condition, but, could use a new one. Is that worth it? Will I get my money out of it? Should I paint everything? The kid's room is blue and pink, and that clearly is a color that most people aren't going to be happy with. So should I paint that? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no. And that's why before you do a single thing to your home, you need to get that consultation. She's great. She'll do a fantastic job for you. She does for everyone. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. There have been calls for Johnson to be replaced as Speaker. Congressman Massey has said he's not going to support Johnson for Speaker. It would take, in my assessment, a significant number of Republicans to not back Mike Johnson for Speaker because Democrats love him. They're going to be there to help him get through, which tells you what you need to know about him. Trump has weighed in on that aspect of all of this, saying that Johnson, quote, will easily remain Speaker for the next Congress if he, quote, acts decisively and tough and eliminates all the traps being set by Democrats in spending packages. Fox News Digital spoke exclusively with President-elect this morning, just hours after the bipartisan deal to avoid the partial government shutdown was killed. Quote, anybody that supports a bill that doesn't take care of the Democrat quicksand known as the debt ceiling should be primary and disposed of as quickly as possible. So it sounds like what he's doing, and this, I would argue, probably is the best move to make for Trump. He's putting Johnson on notice here. Like, look, you're going to be all right as Speaker as long as you cut this crap out. You stop being the lapdog of the Democrats here. You stop, and I don't know how much of this is Mike Johnson naively getting caught in these, quote, traps versus, he knows what he's doing, but he's just a pushover, or maybe he believes in these programs. This is the problem with someone that isn't morally consistent and is dishonest with people about his positions on things. You don't know what the motivation is here. You don't know why he's doing the thing that he's doing. So Trump is sending a message as a marker. Here's what if you want to have my support, this has to stop. We'll see whether or not that turns into a redirection in terms of how it is that Mike Johnson leads. Springfield's Talk 104.1. We got weather coming up in just a moment. Right now, the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today it'll be sunny with a high near 53. As we move into tonight, we'll see clear skies with a low near 22. For your Friday, it'll be sunny and cool with a high around 35. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 42.
I'm Nick Reed. It is Author of the Week time because it's Thursday, and ABC Books on North Glenstone. Again, want to thank them so much. They have always been tremendous partners making these author interviews possible by sponsoring Author of the Week. And we actually have a return author, same author, different book. We spoke with him last year on Drinking with the Saints, Michael Foley's Why We Kiss Under the Mistletoe, Christmas Traditions Explained. What made you decide to write it?
Well, as a boy, like many others, I was fascinated by Christmas. I loved the season, and I was always intrigued by the symbols because they're not self-explanatory. Why do we deck the halls with boughs of holly and not boxwood? What's up with the Christmas tree, and why do we kiss under the mistletoe? So, as an adult, being a theologian by training, I was able to do a deep dive into these customs and get some answers.
Well, let's start with the mistletoe. I mean, where did that come from?
It's got a long history, but the short answer is the Druids. They were big fans of the mistletoe. They thought it was a magical plant because it was green in the dead of winter. It had berries. It never needed soil. It kind of grew in the air. And so they would make peace under the mistletoe. And then when Christianity came along, they added their signature greeting of peace, which is the holy kiss.
Does the Christmas tree have similar origins?
So a lot of people think that the Christmas tree had a pagan origin, but I discovered there are actually myths about Christmas myths, and one of them is about the Christmas tree. As it turns out, the Christmas tree is a uniquely Christian invention.
How was it that Christians decided, let's decorate a tree?
It started out as a stage play. December 24th was the unofficial feast of Adam and Eve, and they would enact plays about the Garden of Eden, and they had two trees on the stage. One was the tree of life, which was decorated with candy to symbolize eternal life. The other was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which they would decorate with apples or symbols of apples, such as red balls. And when these plays were eventually suppressed, people loved those trees so much that they combined them into one tree and moved them into their homes. And that's where we got the Christmas tree.
So why is it that we don't know that? I had always heard the I suppose the myth that it was something that came from the Druids. Where did we get off track with that history?
Well, it's kind of understandable because the Germans did have a Yule tree, and they liked to decorate the interiors of their homes with evergreens just to sort of ward off the doldrums of winter. But the paradise tree or the Christmas tree really did have a different origin, and one proof of this is that even into the 19th century, German households would have a Yule tree, which they'd keep up for all winter, and then on December 24th, they would put up the Christmas tree.
Oh, that is very interesting. 12 days of Christmas. I want to ask you about this. I was just having a conversation with my family about this. I don't know where we were, but that song came on, and I noted that is my least favorite Christmas song, maybe even song, because the repetitive nature of it. I don't like repetitiveness within certain context, and so it just drives me nuts. But it is one of the most well-known Christmas songs, although most people probably could not tell you what each one of the days is in the song. But what is the 12 Days of Christmas? Where did that come from?
So the song was being inspired by a very old custom, which is observing the 12 days of Christmas, which are the period of time between December 25th, Christmas Day, and the Feast of the Epiphany, January 6th, with an unbroken period of merriment. The old-fashioned Christmas was very different from the modern one. You know, today we seem to start Christmas earlier and earlier with our, marketing season. This year I saw jack-o'-lanterns and Christmas trees side by side for sale. So we start early, and then, our airwaves are saturated with Christmas songs, and by the time we get to December 25th, we're practically sick of Christmas. But the older model was that December was a time of restraint. It was Advent, and it was still a joyful time, but you held back. And then when Christmas came, you pulled out all the stops, and then for 12 days, you just made merry.
We're talking with our author of the week, Michael Foley, the book Why We Kiss Under the Mistletoe, Christmas Traditions Explained. Tell us about Santa Claus, Saint Nick, the origins there.
Well, St. Nick was a real person, a very holy bishop, a great patron of children. He was a champion of the little guy. He protected people from unjust accusations. He protected his town from an onerous imperial tax. And then after his death, legends about him grew and grew and grew all throughout the Middle Ages. But the big transformation into Santa Claus took place in New York City at the beginning of the 19th century, when American authors basically took these old Dutch customs about St. Nicholas, and they added elements from Norse mythology, particularly regarding Thor and Woden, who had sleighs in the sky pulled by goats, and this is what made thunder. They took all these legends, they put them in a blender, and they turned on the switch, and that's where we got Santa Claus.
Yeah, you talk about what some would see as you reference a little darker. I love Christmas. I'm very traditional in the sense of the origins of it, but at the same time, the more secular aspects of it I definitely enjoy. And then at the same time, I enjoy some of the different cultures and their versions of not just Santa Claus, but some of the darker side. Krampus, for example. It's, in fact, for me, my wife, our tradition, she always watches White Christmas as I put the lights on the tree, and then at some point between then and Christmas, when everyone is asleep, I watch Krampus the movie. Because I find it really interesting. Tell us about some of the darker sides of Christmas, if you will, and the Krampus characters.
That was the big surprise for me, and I dedicate an entire chapter to the dark side of Christmas. Krampus was a demon in Austria, and he often is associated with St. Nicholas as a kind of spooky sidekick, while St. Nicholas, who's very kind-hearted, gives gifts to the children, the nice children. Krampus is around to scare the naughty children. And there are dozens of these kind of spooky figures in European folklore.
I want to talk about you got the traditional aspect of Christmas, and then you've got the secular and everything in between. Christmas is an interesting holiday in that I don't know that there are any other holidays that are based in a specific religion that is so widely recognized and celebrated by people, even if they don't even necessarily know the meaning of it. That wide range there. I mean, clearly there are mass differences between the secular observance and the Christian observance, and then there are some that don't want the secular observance at all. In fact, they kind of push back at the idea of even taking kids to see Santa Claus because it detaches from the true meaning of it. How do you view all of that in that wide spectrum?
Oh, it is so wide, and it's fascinating. I met a friend who travels extensively, and he went to a home in Kazakhstan of a Muslim family, and they had a Christmas tree. And he asked why, and they just said, well, we just thought it was really nice. It's just a pretty custom. So they, attach no religious meaning to it, but you're right. There's something so appealing about Christmas joy. And of course, it gets secularized, and it is easy to lose the religious meaning. But I tend to be optimistic. I think there are certain elements of a modern Christmas that are good, and you don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. One of the advantages of the modern Christmas is that it is more family-friendly than the medieval version. I told you before, the medievals loved those 12 days of Christmas, but for them, Christmas was actually more of a time of adult mischief than childhood innocence.
The coming together at Christmas and the gatherings, food is synonymous with it. And I think at times we just assume, well, when you get together, you have get-togethers, people bring food. But is there, beyond that, is there some other reason, motivation, or meaning behind the fact that, the cookies and the breads and all of those sorts of treats?
There are just so many different Christmas foods and drinks and treats. I think the emphasis on food is a way of sort of driving out the darkness and the cold of winter. That coziness that comes from feasting together I think it has an extra psychological meaning when it's taking place in the middle of winter. And winter is a time of food scarcity. And you're warring against that with this Christmas cheer.
Before I have one final question, I do want you to tell us a bit about the Christmas cat. This is one of the characters, if you will, in the book, and it was one I was not aware of regarding Christmas, but I found it particularly humorous.
So they've got their whole different thing going on. They've got gnomes that visit you during the 12 days of Christmas, but they have this thing called the Christmas cat, and it's a man-eating cat. and it will eat you if you're not wearing new clothes for Christmas.
And why is that?
So there are three reasons they speculate behind this legend. One is, in the old days, it was the women folk who made all the clothes. So this was to incentivize them to, do their job without complaint. The second reason was similar for children. When they get socks for Christmas, don't complain, this keeps you from being eaten. And then the third reason was to remind you to be kind to the poor. Give them clothes for the bitter, dark winter, because if you don't, they may end up as catnip.
So you write about all these different traditions across the world, not just the world, but even here in the United States. There's certain areas. I know I lived up in Wisconsin for a period of time, and up there was a St. Nick's Day, which was separate from Christmas, where you put wooden shoes out. And while, where here in the Ozarks, where I was born and raised, I'd never even heard of that before. So you don't just have different traditions across the world, but even here within our own borders. And because there's that combined with advertising and Christmas specials, you have to be, I think, proactive in order to continue to recognize the true spirit and meaning of Christmas. And it is a Christian holiday. What can Christians do in order to really keep tethered to that, or to recapture that true spirit of Christmas?
Well, I think observing Christian customs faithfully throughout the year is a good way to do that. Christian symbols during the month of December, like the Advent calendar or the Advent wreath, observing St. Nicholas Day on December 6th, little things like that can anchor a family and keep them from just thinking of it in secular terms.
Our author of the week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, just south of Kearney. It is Michael P. Foley. Why We Kiss Under the Mistletoe, Christmas Traditions Explained. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. All right, we're going to have Congressman Burleson join us here in just a couple of moments. He'll update us on the latest. A lot of developments since he was last on, giving us a heads up. This continuing resolution thing was horrible. It was awful. Of course, what he said is proven to be understood and recognized to the point that it's getting scrapped, evidently. So what does that mean exactly? And how does he feel about Speaker Johnson now? I know a number of you have texted in asking what's his position. Will he support him to continue to be Speaker? Is that a decision he's made yet? So we'll get his thoughts on that as well in moments. I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today it'll be sunny with a high near 53, and as we move into tonight, we'll see clear skies with a low near 22. For your Friday, it'll be sunny and cool with a high around 35, and on Saturday, it'll be sunny with a high around 42.
Congressman Burleson is kind enough to join us, as busy and as chaotic as I'm sure things are due to this continuing resolution mess. And I know on Tuesday, before this was really unveiled to the public at large, you had said this is not good. I saw it. There was a headline from an opinion piece in The Hill yesterday titled "Democrats Have Learned Nothing from Their Election Loss," and I thought there should be an accompanying opinion piece titled "Republicans Have Learned Nothing from Their Election Win," because it seems as if, I mean, it's just like, what do you guys not get about this? So, like I said on Tuesday, you warned us, and you have. I'm obviously, you know this. Well, I'm getting a tremendous amount of feedback. They're talking about him on Hannity. They're talking about him on this. They're talking about, I mean, you're just all over the place. And I think it's largely because what you say is resonating with so many people. It's a dumpster fire, a garbage fire, as you described it. So since we talked with you Tuesday, if you would walk us through what it is that we need to know.
Yeah, I was on Tuesday. I was really depressed, and I went from a depression to being angry.
Yeah,
and that anger spilled over whenever I left the conference meeting. So that's maybe a couple hours after I was on your show, and I just was blunt and honest when the press asked me, "What do you think of the CR?" And what's so great is that clip was played a lot, and not that I wanted the attention,
right?
But the American people responded. The American
Yes.
people said yes, and the fact that they called their representatives, the fact that Elon Musk retweeted me on Twitter, started following me, and then started hammering, and Ramaswamy started hammering us to not vote for this. It turned my week around. It turned this town around, and it's turned this normal Christmas omnibus disaster that we see all the time into maybe a Christmas miracle.
I was trying to imagine what this must feel like for those of you in the Republican Party that are the minority when it comes to these issues. And I equated it in my mind to, here, the freshman or sophomore in high school, not as strong and popular as the football team and all the popular guys, and every day going down to senior hall, ultimately, I get pushed around and get mocked, and then one day there's a new kid in school who sees it and says, "Hey, don't treat him that way," and pushes back, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, there's somebody who's willing to stand up for me that has the power to do it. And I wonder if that's not, to some degree, the feeling that is in play right now.
Yeah, I think that it's just, to me, the big win is that Doge, the impact of Doge and Elon, I think that changes that. When he tweeted that anybody that votes for this continuing resolution should be primaried in 2 years, that sent chills through the hallways of these buildings.
So great.
And so it was so great. And I think that might just very well be the thing that's needed, the difference maker, because, like under Reagan, they did a Doge type commission, right? It was called something else, but he tried to do it, and they apparently Congress did not adopt a single recommendation from that commission. And so, but this is different because you got a guy with a tremendous voice, right? Has the biggest platform on the planet, and then has the richest man in the world who has the money to back up what he says. He even said on Twitter, "They should know by now that I mean what I say, right? That I'll back it up." And I think that may be the difference maker.
I've already picked up on the signals, the way that the media is going to try to present this, and that is rich billionaire Elon Musk has torpedoed this thing that now the American people are going to be hung in the balance, that, all of these horrific things, and it's because, Elon Musk, this billionaire, is calling the shots. And I think much like trying to portray Trump during the campaign as some billionaire who doesn't relate to the average American, I don't think it's going to work, because I don't care. The message is what matters, and the message is correct.
Yeah, it is, and he's at the end of the day, we need outside input. I think that we should not be shy about the fact that people from outside of this government are having influence on the government that they own.
Right.
That's something that we should embrace, is that people outside this building are the ones providing that kind of input and back. That's what we need. We desperately need that.
We're talking with Congressman Burleson. So what happens now? I know that, of course, partial shutdown Friday, I think at midnight, which I believe also, and I think you're in tune with this, there's a real disconnect between what the elite think the American people feel about shutdowns versus what we really do. I think most Americans don't care at all. Fine, do it. And it's been used, unfortunately, as a real effective weapon against Republicans who cower in fear that people are going to revolt over it. But, I just don't think most Americans care so much. But that being said, what happens now? Is there any sense as to what is going to occur?
So right now, this is what's so awesome is that I think that now the Freedom Caucus is kind of in the steering position.
Wow.
Because we and in fact, I'm right now, I stepped out of I got elected to the board of the Freedom Caucus, by the way, and I stepped out of our meeting. And so, but what we're literally discussing right now is, yes.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. Wow. Fantastic.
Thank you. And so what we're discussing right now is, what do we do? Trump wants to raise the debt ceiling. Okay. He doesn't want Chuck Schumer to leverage him when he comes into office, because if he knows that that's the one piece of leverage that Chuck Schumer is going to have over him. So he wants to clear the deck. And the problem is, you're asking conservatives like me to raise the debt ceiling.
Yes, right.
And so, we're not going to do that unless we get some big win.
Got it.
I'm not going to do that until, to me, I'm trying to float the idea. Okay, I will raise the debt ceiling if we're going to add a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Nice.
Because then it's never going to happen again. This would be the last debt ceiling increase, and at that point, at some point, whenever you hit the next debt ceiling, you have to balance the budget.
Right.
We need something like that. All options are on the table, and that's what we're brainstorming right now to pitch back and try to get something, some win out of this.
Wow, it's amazing how potentially, it seems as if the tide is so drastically turned since we talked with you Tuesday.
Yeah, and it could turn again.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I've had obviously a number of people. Massey made news. He said, I can't support Johnson as speaker again. A lot of people are, and I've had people ask what your thoughts are on Johnson. I know Trump today seemed to, in my opinion, kind of put a marker down saying, hey, Johnson's going to be fine as speaker as long as he doesn't fall for this crap. So it seems to me that there's sort of a line that or a parameter, if you will, that Trump is drawing to put him on notice. So how do you feel about all this now with Johnson?
Because he's been, playing footsie with Democrats since he stepped into office, stepped into the speaker role. They're the ones that bailed him out in that vote when Marjorie Taylor Greene did the motion to vacate. And it's unacceptable. That's what makes my stomach turn, is all the things that he's done to just so he can stay in the seat that he is in. Yeah. And to me, that is the attitude that I abhor the most, are politicians that are not up here for the right reasons. They just want to occupy the seat and stay in power. That's not why you should run for office. And so that's why I'm very, very disappointed in him. And I've said I'm not going to talk about how I'll vote.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he can do better. And I think that he's a good person. He's a good human being. And I think that he knows that he can do better. I think that this is just ripping him apart.
And if you don't mind me asking, of course you don't have to answer, when you say that you're not going to talk about where your vote is on him, is that just something that you're just keeping close to yourself now, or because things could change, that still is?
Things could change.
Got it, okay.
I mean, it's what, there's that's weeks out, and as this week is an example of that things changed extremely rapidly. So I think it's just smart to not put a marker out right now.
And then and I know you're busy, so I appreciate your time, but there's so much going on here. I want to ask, given that, and now again, I've just ecstatic to hear that you're on that board now, the Freedom Caucus, and the driver's seat position that it appears potentially that you all are in here. Is the quote deadline on Friday for the partial shutdown, is that irrelevant to you all right now?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that, it's giving us a little bit of motivation to quickly get something together. But at the end of the day, we've had government shutdowns before.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think people care. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of with some of the members that say, shut it down.
Right.
Shut it down until we come back in January. And frankly, 85% of the federal government stays open when we are in a quote unquote shutdown. So it's a 15% shutdown, folks. It's not the entire government shutting down.
Well, so I think that you all could actually use it to your advantage as well, given right now with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and the Doge. People are calling them the Doge Bros, which I think is awesome. But because, hey, this is an opportunity for us to find out who's not essential. That's what I would say. This government shutdown, it gives us an opportunity to see what parts of government are not essential. And I think that plays into what is really resonating with people right now. So not only is it, I believe, not something that is harmful to the cause, if you will, but could actually be beneficial. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts? I know you're busy. Like I said, your name is being talked about. Your audio is being played, which is good because it's so straightforward. It's so concise, and it sums up what so many people have been frustrated about. And I think that the reason that this continuing resolution situation is receiving so much more pushback than past ones have is because of what just occurred with the election. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like I said, did you not understand what this was all about, this election?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so obtuse as to what really happened. I want to say thank you to you and your listeners. I received so many phone calls, and it's unanimous. I asked the staff this the other day. Have we had one person call to say vote for the CR? And there's not been one person. Now I'm saying that there's probably going to be somebody listening that's going to call to be the one person. But I would not have the ability to do what I do were it not for the fact that I have the greatest district that backs me up. Thank you.
Well, it's earned. And I speak as a constituent, but also as somebody that's known you for a long time. I'm just telling you how glad, how grateful I am that you are in that position, because I just really genuinely feel like when it comes to somebody that is such a local, direct representation, like finally it's actually not just, quote, my side, but really genuinely one of us that is sticking with it. And that is, as hard as it is and tough as it is, it looks like making some advancement. And honestly, it's at times you think it's never going to happen. And so if it were not for the few like you that just continue to fight even when it looks like there's no way to win, but you fight because it's the right thing to do, for that I say thank you 1,000. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. And I don't know what your plan. I will be on air Monday. If, of course, I'll coordinate that with your people. But if you are I know a lot of people are taking the whole week off, and so if you are, that's fine.
Well,
But otherwise, I can talk with you Monday.
it's her birthday, and I'm going to do everything I can to fly home, even if I have to fly back tomorrow morning. I'm going to do everything I can to get home for that. So.
Happy birthday to her, and
yeah,
and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Grizzly Industrial, open to the public, non-commissioned customer service professionals, decades of experience. That's nice, particularly when you're dealing with sometimes higher priced items, right? You think, oh, well, they see me coming. All they see is cha-ching, cha-ching. That's not how they operate there. And with over 600 machines on display, woodworking, metalworking, largest woodworking and metalworking showroom floor in the world. In the entire world, right here in Springfield, South Kansas Expressway, and Battlefield. And right now during December, best deals you're going to find. Grizzly Industrial. So glad to have them as part of KSGF. Love getting those local, important, long-term resident, businesses of Springfield and Springfield areas, part of the KSGF family, if you will. Got a lot of response from Congressman Burleson, or a lot of response from you regarding Congressman Burleson. Listen, I cannot tell you. You heard it. How meaningful it is to him to get the outpouring of support. And that, to me, is meaningful because you think about just the opposite, and how the vast majority of Americans and a lot of the people who represent us, it's not necessarily that they're bad people, but there's a disconnect, and it's the difference between, let's say you got it, like, it's the difference between, okay, you're a Chiefs fan, you love the Chiefs, and you know that they're out there playing, and they're your team and everything. But if you happen to be, like, there's one player that that you're friends with, and so you really know them, it's just different somehow, right? You have that connection. And, there are a lot of lawmakers that are on your, quote, team, right? And you don't really know them. You don't know much about them. You don't have a connection to them. But you know that they're up there, and, they're voting the way that they need to vote for the most part and so forth. You don't worry about it too much. But I don't think that a lot of lawmakers really, truly, genuinely feel that connection that that Congressman Burleson feels with people. And you could hear it in his voice. The level of appreciation for people calling and voicing, support, and not just because, I want to pat myself on the back, but I can't imagine, like, you go up there to represent your people, and then you are bombarded every day with people trying to get you to do things that are opposed to the interest of your constituency. I understand. I don't like it, but I understand 100% how it is people go to Washington and quit listening to their constituents, because 99% of the proactive communication that's coming to them are people that are not their constituents. I get that. And then on top of it, you're a Republican and your own party is betraying your values. And so it's why I so encourage that you give that feedback to the people that we elect, good and bad. If there are things to be like, hey, just so you know, I don't like this, here's why. But let them know when they're doing stuff good. And some aren't. It's not going to matter. I mean, we know that. I understand that, realistic. But sometimes it makes a big difference, not just in terms of representation, but as a human being. That sense that, okay, I am doing this. I know I'm doing it for the right reason, but just knowing that relationship is there. I don't know. I'm not very good at putting words to it, I suppose, but I would just encourage you to continue to do that. And I just really, really think that we are watching develop how fortunate we are to have Eric Burleson as congressman in the 7th Congressional District. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed.